Now before I start cutting away the excess foam here, I want to go ahead and place my sandbags on and mark where they go. If I don't do that, I might end up cutting away too much of my hill and I won't have any hill left to set the sandbags. Now this is the general location of where I'm going to have the sandbags going around here. Now I am going to make them, stack them up so they're sort of uneven at the top and do some special decorations, but this is the general location where I want them. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but this is just a line to tell me do not cut any further than here, because I want to have some sort of support for my sandbags to go on, at least up to this point. Now there's no easy way to describe these next few steps. With this in place, we are going to pick this thing up and we're going to start cutting all over this. Any places that are very, very steep, what we're going to do is sort of a rock texture on the sides. Any places that are more sloped, we're just going to sort of smooth them out a little bit. We're going to start with the top area here, and I'm just going to start cutting away on it. These parts right here, I'm going to keep just a little bit steeper. This is going to be more of a chunk of rock. This is going to be a chunk of rock face, and this is where folks can shoot out from. But from here on, it's going to kind of taper out and around. First of all, this rock sort of sticks up a bit. So what we're going to do is I'm going to sort of smooth this out just a little bit, and it's going to be sort of rock textured here when we get done. So I'm just going to start cutting off pieces. Most rocks aren't really all that, straight. I'm going to cut this in just a little bit here. And be careful with the knife, kind of saw, but don't push really hard because you don't want to hack into your hand. I'm going to put this back on and let's see what we're doing here. I'd like this to sort of slope down into the hill a little bit. So I'm going to start cutting this away. There we go. I'm going to cut this away like this. I'm going to cut this down sort of like that. We'll take off a chunk there. Take off a chunk there, and we'll take off a little bit here, and this backside is going to be more of a straight heel. So let's see, this should probably be cut down just a little bit more. Okay, I'm going to cut down and out. If you cut towards yourself, be sure you get your hands and everything else that's important out of the way. Okay. I'm going to cut off a little bit here and cut off a little bit here. Now if you've got smaller areas that you want to cut and that knife is a little bit too big, you can use a smaller knife like an X-Acto blade and go ahead and cut it here. Okay, I'm going to just cut this away a little bit here. Put this down more here. Okay. And I'm going to cut away just a little bit more here. And cut away just some more here. Okay. Let's put that back on. See how we're doing. I want it to flow down a little bit more. This is kind of an odd little area right here. Let's get that cut away. Cut that away. There we go. That's looking a little better. This edge here, let's try to slope it down just a little bit more. Not sure where we're going. There we go. That's pretty good. Okay. So this is starting to slope down where we want. Here we've got sort of a hunk of rock. Let's make that hunk of rock sort of, a little more prominent here. And we'll work on the rock texture here, but I am going to see if I can get the light. Let's kind of uneven this up a little bit here. And notice I'm cutting down on all the layers right here. We're going to work on the rock texture here in just a little bit. Now the next thing I'm going to work on right here, this almost looks a little unnatural, but I do want dirt sort of dumping down here a little bit. So I'm going to just sort of carve this just a little bit more. And a little bit uneven is fine. Okay, let's kind of carve that out. That'll be all right. that would probably be fine. Now this area right here stepping down, that's all going to be sort of smooth. So I'm going to have to kind of cut all this at one time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the blade like this, and I'm just going to go all the way down to the bottom here. And let's just try to cut this all down at one time. Okay. And if it's a little jaggy, it's probably okay. It's not going to hurt anything. Okay. I'm sort of getting this down here where I want it. We've still got kind of a gap there. Let's see if we can get this down just a little bit more. Yeah, it's starting to shape up. Okay. There we go. And if you got sort of dips and curves and things in here, it'll probably give it a little bit more of a natural look. It shouldn't look like a perfect dome. Some things are going to come in and down and over, and you're just going to have to work at them and take off smaller pieces of foam. So I'm going to work this out just a little bit. And let's see. Okay. And if you remember where we had the little square here, I'm going to kind of angle this back a little bit. There we go. And have a little bit of the wood up above. And let's see. Let's take this off here. This off here. Let's cut this back down. Kind of scoop that out a little bit. The bad thing about this knife is it's kind of hard to get an indented cut. It's hard to do this shape with a knife that's a very straight blade like this. But we'll just sort of do our best here. I think it'll work out all right. You'll get a better cut if you slice it rather than just try to shove straight down. Okay. I think I'm going to pick this up and I'm going to kind of slice it like this. There we go. We're going to kind of come down. We're going to slice it up like that. There we go. Okay. Now I've got to be careful and not cut beyond that line that I've got right there. Okay. There we go. Okay. Working our way around. Like I said, if you cut like this, it's kind of hard to cut. If you lean the knife back, you'll get a better slices off of it. This right here is bothering me just a little bit. Let's see if I can take this by cutting down this way a little bit. There we go. Now, let's see if we can get down there. How am I going to cut that? There we go. That's a little better. Let's just run this over. Kind of like that. That's not too bad. Cut a little bit more off of there. Okay. Alrighty. I think that'll probably do for that right there. Now we've got this hill right here to contend with. I don't want to cut any further back than this line, so this right here is just going to be some steep land here. And if you wondered why I made odd jaggies around, that's to help you try to get sort of a natural hill look when you're doing this. Okay. Out. Okay. Here. There. I'd like to get rid of that. Okay. Alrighty. Now this front edge right here is probably going to be more rock. I am going to try to cut this back just a little bit more to get rid of that double ridge. There we go. Okay, that's pretty good. And I'm going to cut this back a little bit deeper. Now, for our front rock faces here, what we want is this to be a little bit craggy. In other words, this is going to kind of come in and out vertically a little bit. And what we're probably going to do is just start taking odd pieces out of it here. Like, let's see this line right here. I kind of like the way that looks. What we're going to do is we're just going to kind of go up and down with a knife and then go at it to the other angle. Make sure your fingers are out of the way, and we'll just take a chunk out like that. Okay? And I'm going to kind of go down here, and I'm going to cut it back, and we're going to kind of just take ridges out going around. So let's see, we're going to do the same thing over here, and let's see, let's cut that out. Get rid of that lip, and we're going to put like just sort of a crag here. There we go, crag right there, and we're going to, I could go back, okay, and it's pretty rough. If you get a few little indentations like that, it's not a problem, because we're going to start doing some horizontal cuts anyway. What we're going to do is we're going to kind of cut the top a little bit, because rocks usually don't come up and just perfectly stay flat. What we're going to do is we're going to kind of angle this a little bit, and we're going to cut this back a little bit, because this is usually where dirt, you know, sort of slopes down on it. And I'll go just a little bit deeper there. There we go. It'll carry that crag right on down just a little bit. Okay, there we go, that looks pretty good. There. There. Now that's going to work, I think, pretty good for our vertical surfaces there. Okay, that's what we got. It looks like I need just a little bit of craggy right here, because this looks a little too smooth. So let's go ahead and see if we can do a little bit of the cragginess to that. Get a little bit up here. That's fine. And we need a little bit down here. So down here we're going to have to probably go at a different angle. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and remove this, get that out of the way, so I can actually reach this rock. There we go. Let's crag that up just a little bit. There we go. There we go. Yeah, that's not too bad. We'll angle that up just a little bit. And, okay. And the sides here are kind of smooth too. We'll just tear those up just a little bit. Okay. I think we've got most of the vertical surfaces done on this.